Hello, Cindy.
Hi, Gwenolye.
It's so nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
I'm really excited about doing this. And so I'm so curious about your process. So I had a few questions.
Sure.
Um, when you're painting, first of all, what drew you to painting? What in you made it so that you just wanted to do that?
Painting in general?
Yeah, kind of like the first steps.
Okay.
Because you've been painting for quite a while, haven't you?
Yes, I started painting when I was about 6. Um, what happened is my mom noticed that I love to draw. And teachers in kindergarten would tell her, your daughter it draws very well. So apparently I drew better than my peers. You know how you draw little trees and basically almost stick figures. And so what happened was, from that feedback, my mom bought me a drawing book with charcoal. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table with her when I was 6 years old. And the drawing was a pumpkin. And very carefully, step by step, my mom took me through, because this book showed you step by step how to do the shading. And
Yeah.
I shaded this pumpkin in charcoal. And I still remember the feeling to this day. I looked at that pumpkin and it was so three-dimensional that it almost felt like it was coming out of the page. And that was complete magic for me. Um, I can't even describe the feeling, but it was the most magical moment of my life to that point.
Mm.
And I knew that's what I wanted to do. So after that, she started buying me paint by number sets. And I began painting, like, lots of people had those.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember those.
yeah, so I did a lot of those. And then I just started doing my own thing. So it's been a long time.
A really long time, and you've had a lot of support. That's great because your mom sounds like she really guided you there. But what I
Yeah.
find really amazing is when you said that, your pumpkin looks like it was coming out of the page, because I've seen your paintings and I have to admit that's the feeling I get. They have a three-dimensional feel to it. So I would be tempted to say it's you. You're the one with the ability um to give life to something that is two-dimensional, and that's
Mm.
quite magical.
Thank you. I've heard that before. People have told me that I had a series where I painted birds probably exclusively for about a year. And people told me that my birds seemed like at any moment they were going to fly right out of the painting and into the room.
So how do you choose your subjects?
Um, with my heart, I would have to say, um, if I first of all, a lot of my painting is done from photographs I've taken. I take a lot of photographs, a lot of photographs. I have over 15,000
Whoa.
photographs on my phone, Mhm. Which gives me great resources. I spend a lot of time in nature and photographing nature. Photographing light in particular. I love light and the way that it affects things. So when I'm painting still life that I set up, of course, it's not from a photograph, it's from life. And I choose my subjects by shapes, oftentimes shape and color and light. But with a photograph, I choose my subjects based on the passion that I feel about it. If I look at a photo of a bird that I've taken and I feel passionate about bringing that to life, that's what I paint.
I think that's where the magic of your paintings are, because it sounds, what I hear you say is basically you paint feelings.
Absolutely, you're so right. That is what I paint. I paint feelings. And when I paint something, whether it's a bird or whether it's a landscape or a scene that I've chosen, set of buildings, um, there's always an emotion that I'm trying to convey. Um, there's an emotion, there's a life, and it's never about the object. I'm never painting an object to make it look
Mm.
like
Mm.
the object. So my birds are not bird portraits, but bird beings.
Yeah, basically, you're very intuitive with the way you work.
Yep.
You went to art school, though, or are you self-taught?
I went to art school for 2 years. Yes. So in art school, um, I'm I'm a lot self-taught because I ran out of money after 2 years of art school. And so after that, it was self-taught and taking courses with phenomenal instructors, really good instructors, um, like from New York. And so the art school gave me all the fundamentals. It
Right.
gave me the
Right.
design, right? The design, the composition, right? We did a lot of drawing. So I really honed my drawing skills in art school. So it gave me all the foundations, all the building blocks for what came afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, that's that you build your foundation and then you just let yourself
Exactly.
grow into the rest of it. So
That's
that's
right.
really good.
That's right. And I probably spent the first, oh, gee, if I'm honest, let's see, I was in art school when I was 19. Probably the next 15 years, maybe even 20 years,
Wow.
perfecting color mixing, perfecting all the technique, perfecting how to make something recede into the distance, how to make something come forward.
Mm.
Um, how to have edge when you're painting is so important, especially with realism. You have to pay very good attention to your edges. Edges convey so much meaning. I guess it would be like a writer with the words that they choose. With a painter, your edge is a big part of your vocabulary. So the way you end one color into the next color is a really important consideration. So I spent probably 15 years learning and perfecting that set of skills
Wow.
so that my intuition could just come out.
Yeah. So is that where you feel now that you're arrived, you've mastered enough of the technical aspects that you can really open to your intuition and let it flow? Do you have that feeling of flow when you paint something?
I
Like you
Yes,
forget about the rules and you just let it open?
yes, that's a perfect description. Yes. The rules, it's not that I forget about the rules. It's that I don't the rules are always there, believe it or not. They're always running in the background. But it's like the rules are like when you learn to drive a car. You learn how to drive a car. You have the rules.
Right.
But then when you drive, you don't think about it. But they're always there. Otherwise, you'd crash, right? So
Yeah.
you remember what you're supposed to do. So when I paint now, there's always this little back tape running that's paying attention to the composition, that's paying attention to the edges, that's looking at the light and saying, okay, what color am I seeing there when I paint realism? Um, when I'm painting more of these spirit paintings, it's very different because
Sure.
the rules are going, right? I'm paying attention to the composition, color mixing, but now what's happening is I'm letting it be more dictated by energy and not so much how do I make it look like this
Yeah.
expression on this bird's face? How do I capture that? You see, so it's a little bit more yes, composition, value. I pay a lot. A value is the lightness and the light and dark scale. How, white is it? How dark is it? Because you want to have pleasing values. If you don't have your lights and darks pleasing, no matter what you do with the rest of the painting, it will not be a pleasing painting. The
Mm,
value structure is so important, but that's the part that runs by itself. And then I just open to the energy and let that flow.
right. That's beautiful. That's yeah, it feels like a deep journey.
Yes, it is a deep journey. You're right.
And it sounds like you're more tuned now to the energy, the flow of it, whilst of course you have the idea of the structure it needs to have, but you're not limiting yourself to that structure. That's what
Right.
you it
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah. And
to me that you're doing.
that's perfect. That's a perfect description. I have the structure, but I'm not limited to the structure.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Wow.
That was a great question. Ah,
Good.
so did you have any other questions or are you good?
um no, I mean, yes and no, because basically you've painted your whole life, so
My whole life.
to me, it feels like you've always been in touch with what moved you, and you've learned how to um, and let it unfold through the different stages of learning that you did.
Mhm.
That's so. I think that's really beautiful to be in touch with this so early on and have the support of your mom. That's really great. So
It was
basically, you never stopped painting.
I didn't ever stop painting. Even when my daughter was young and I was involved with raising her, and even when my husband and I started our own business and I was involved with that, I never stopped painting. I continued to take workshops. I actually was an assistant to a workshop program in Maine for many, many summers. That was just 1 week, but I did that every summer for 5 years. So I loved working with people and helping them. Um, so it's been kind of multifaceted and it's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that's beautiful.
And now I have a
You
question for you.
ah
And it's um, a little bit similar to the questions that you've asked me. The first one that I have is, where did you first get your inspiration to create like a soul song? How did that come to you? Did it come out of the blue? How did that happen?
well, the beginning is pretty ordinary. Um, I have a software on my computer called GarageBand, and I'm not technical at all, so I was really intimidated by it. But my brother kept telling me it was really easy to use with loops, and so finally one day I went into it to play with it, and he was right. I actually enjoyed it, and because I like connecting everything I do to my path. It's hard for me to just relax and have fun for the fun of it. It's always connected to something meaningful for me.
Mhm.
And I've always been very drawn to intuition. I always was fascinated by it. So pretty early on in my life, I really started to observe myself to understand what intuition really was, and played with cards and all of that sort of things. And when I started with making songs, I wasn't really interested in making a song. I'm not a musician. I don't play any instruments. And I was making things out of loops. But what I love is creating environments, creating vibes in environments. And the idea of the soul song came from, um, intuitively speaking, I wondered if I could because I already knew I could read intuitively. So I thought, I wonder if I can connect to a person's essence.
Mm.
Can I get any info from a person's essence, and can I create something, a song for what I feel?
Mm.
So I started asking friends if they were interested for me to experiment, because I would never do one since it goes into the spiritual layers. I ask for permission. I don't just do somebody's song like that. So what happened is that as I started working very quickly, I started noticing that as soon as I thought of that person, I would have an image appear. And then it would start to move into a story. And I would make the soundtrack of the story. I would listen for the sounds that I could feel in that little movie I was seeing in my head. And that's how I started to make soul songs. So it was purely out of curiosity. I was daring myself to see, can I intuitively feel? And then as I experimented with it, I started to ask people who understood this kind of non-visible things, because I wanted their feedback on, okay, do you feel like I have tapped into your essence? Does this resonate in a way where you can feel it from the sounds? And I got some really good feedback on that. I had a story once I took a shamanic course, and so I asked the teacher if I could make his soul song, and it was on the last day of the course, and he was wearing a white sweater. And after he said yes, he was very curious about it, and he was very happy. So he said yes, and so I started to kind of like think about it, and I was obsessed with his white sweater. I just couldn't take that white sweater off my head. And then I got home and I started doing his song. And again, with the white sweater came a lot of snow, and I saw a beautiful forest, and I saw a man walking through the forest, and it was very mysterious and kind of mystical. And anyway, I made his song. It had a lot of, it had footsteps in the snow in it, and it had an owl call, and this person was walking towards his cabin. So I had sounds, a door when he got to the cabin. I had and I'd made all this with the sounds, and then I sent the song to my teacher, explaining to him what had happened with his white sweater, and the whole story that I saw unfolding after I got home. And it's not something I knew, somebody I knew. It was a course I was taking for the first time, so I had no knowledge of this person. And he was totally amazed, because he said, "That's really amazing what you're saying, because this white sweater, I always wear it on the last day of a course. My mother, when I was young, used to knit me a white sweater. And there was a time in my childhood where I was really ill, and I was at home, and I became friends with a man who lived in the forest. And he became my mentor, my shamanic mentor, and I would go see him walking through the snow in the forest to go to his cabin.
Wow.
And I just couldn't
Wow.
believe it. So that
That's
was like,
pretty
okay,
amazing.
I suppose I am tapping
Wow.
into something that's very real.
Wow. And I love that it seems like you're saying that you see the music, you don't just hear the music, but you see the music connected to some sort of story.
Yeah, it's not so much that I hear the music, it's that I get a sense of the sounds, because the song is not really a song like you would listen on the
Right.
radio,
Yeah.
even though it has instruments. But the instruments are more part of a story. It's more of a soundtrack. So you
Yes.
have the sounds that I hear in that I sense in the image that comes to
In
me.
the image.
And
Right.
then the instruments that I come up with, I just go through. I have a huge loop library, and I just go through this library, and I will go for the instrument that has a sound that matches the story. I don't pay attention to what country the instrument is from, or how to use it, or anything like that. Um, I will choose it from its sound. So it's all about bringing the environment alive, like by listening to it, you also step in, because when I'm making it, I am completely stepping into it. That's it becomes, it's like I step into something and I pay attention to what's around it and I go, oh, this sound, oh yes, right here, and like this, and this high or this low, or because actually I don't have, I'm not technical. It's completely done intuitively. So, um, but I will tune everything to. I look for fluidity. I look for, you were talking about your paintings, how important the edge was.
Mhm.
For me, it's the same, but it's like with fluidity, where does the instrument come from? Where does that sound came from? And so that it's almost, you don't notice that it goes from one sound to the next. So I spend an incredible amount of time on the fluidity to really make sure that things are moving in a way that creates that environment, in a really whole,
Mhm.
it's a whole scene.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's quite magical to do. I get very immersed in it.
Wow. So you did one, you did a soul song for me. Which was such a magical thing for me. So when you saw my spirit painting, which is kind of where you based your song from, what's your first step? I'm so curious. How do you begin the process?
Well, what's most interesting with your painting is that when we first started to have the idea of you having a song with your painting, you sent me a different one, not telling me it was not your soul painting.
Mhm.
And I could not get into it because my sense of you was different than what I felt in the painting. And I was not inspired to get started.
Right.
And then I can't remember how we got in touch again. And then you told me, oh, by the way, this was not actually my soul painting. And then you send me your soul painting. So
Mhm.
what's so interesting in this experience, and that's why I'm sharing it, is that all of a sudden I realized that not only do I tap into the painting, but I tap into you. And you sent me a painting it was relating to you because it was your business painting, but it
Right.
was not you. And
Right.
I couldn't connect the two. And I
Mhm.
it just could, something was just not flowing, because that's always what I look for, is flow. So as soon as I saw your painting, I recognized you, energetically speaking. I
Mhm.
recognized your vibrancy. I recognized, I have always felt fire in you, like a really playful fire. And I didn't see it in that other painting. There was no trace of fire. And that's why I couldn't make sense of it.
Mhm.
So um, I guess that it's not so much that I connected to the visual. It's like how you paint, the way you paint is you have this ability to make it 3D, to give it a dimension where it has a depth in it. Where I seem to go when I do the song from the painting is that I go behind, I go in between. It's
Mhm.
not static. I don't just look at the picture and
Mhm.
um I stare at it, actually. I put it on my computer and I just stared
Mhm.
at it and I just open myself to let it inform me.
Oh, I
So
see.
I don't look for what is happening. I
Just
just
wait.
let it inform me. And I got informed very quickly with fire and with a movement. And it gave birth to the whole scene. But what was most interesting in your soul painting is that it had so many layers. It was not just a slow song or a fast song or a rhythmic song. It was like, it was tricky to link everything in that fluidity that I always look for, because it felt important to portray um, some of the different flavors in it. Felt so part of it. It was part of your whole being. But that's what was really important and interesting in your song. Because it had these different layers that were very different in feel and sound. Like there was a part that was very uplifting, and then the other part was just deep and calm and very meditative.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was an amazing journey, and that's what I
I
feel with your soul song is like I immerse myself in a journey which is not mine, and I don't decide on anything. I just listen for the right sound, and I can't really tell you how I get it. I just listen, and it
no.
just, like right away with your painting, I just had that sense of Japanese instruments, and I don't know why.
Right.
It just, I had to put I had to put a sound that didn't have that steady note we have in European, but
Mhm.
the note that kind of goes into a harmonic. I don't know how you call this in music terms, but for some reason, the other thing that comes up for me when I do a soul song is that I will have moments. I will have moment where I feel that what I'm sensing and doing plugs my heart on, and I know that I'm right on. Not as a self-righteous thing, but I can feel that it's like a big yes. And it usually it will feel like the core of the song, you know. And I think it's one of the first thing I shared with you about the Japanese part, and that's when you revealed to me, which I had absolutely no idea, that you liked Japanese gardens and things like that, and I had no idea. So I seem to, through my own feelings, I get highlighted on some on this, and that's kind of how I get the loops. Is that I get a sound, I find the loops that have that kind of sound, and then I listen to all the loops, and there will be one that's going to go light up. It's going to like, it's going to like, there's an expansion. There's a feeling of that's it. That's exactly the sound that I need. And so that, yeah. So I'm informed by the person, but
Right.
with the soul painting, it seems to come from both the person and the painting, and I go between the paint.
Mhm.
I let the painting move.
Mhm. Well, when I heard the song that you made for me, um, I had a really deep resonance with it. As soon as I heard it, I
Mm.
felt it align with me. Just there was no question that it was my song. It was I don't even know how to put that into words, but I knew that it was my song.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, and that totally matches, how I feel. I am. Of course, it's going to have my flavor because it's made by me. If somebody else would do it,
Mhm,
just like the
mhm,
paintings, it has your flavor because you've made it.
mhm.
But what's core for me is to be in tune with what I sense. It's not
Right.
about my wanting to do this or the other. It's really about, and I get this by the fluidity that will go with the essence.
Mhm.
Somehow it's like, when you're hitting the right note, or whatever we do, creatively speaking, whatever it is that we do, there is a place where that's it. We can't explain. It's not
That's
rationalized.
right.
You cannot rationalize it. It's like, you just know,
Yeah,
you're in the movement. So
right.
that's kind of what it feels like for me. It's like, I know I'm in the movement. And because I have a shamanic background, I understand that what comes through is, I intend to connect to the essence, and
Mhm,
then I trust. I just
mhm,
let go of
mhm,
that,
mhm.
and whatever comes, it's not my place to decide or censor, or whatever comes. I need to find a way to
Trust it
accept
and
it. Yeah.
yeah. I love that because it reminds me a lot your description of your process and sort of listening and allowing the music to to inform you and then creating this flow is very similar to my process with painting because I'll mix the colors intuitively and then when I'm about to paint I'll dip the brush in a color and I'll hold it by the painting. And
Mhm.
I didn't even know I was doing that until I videoed myself. That was
Ha-
what was really interesting. When I videoed myself painting, I was like amazed that that's what I did. And I'll hold the brush up to different areas of the painting and only put the color down where I'm being called to put the color down where it feels right. Sometimes I'll have my brush loaded and I'll go to put it on the painting and I'll move all around the painting and it doesn't belong anywhere. And I have to clean the paint off my brush and choose the next color and start again. So it's very similar, I feel, to the way that you wait for the right sound and
yeah. I
and
I
trust.
can I can spend literally hours, or well, let's say maybe minutes, maybe not hours, but I can spend a lot of time on just one tiny little segment. I'll I'll loop it itself, and I'll listen again and again. I close my eyes and I listen again and I listen again until something happens and I go, okay, because I am not a musician. I have absolutely no schooling in music. It's completely intuitive. I go for flavors. I go for the flow, for, some of the loops I'm able to access the notes in it. And sometimes I'll listen to something, it's happened with your song actually, and I love the loop, it's perfect, but the ending doesn't work. There's one note that bugs me, so I take it off. I take it out of the loop, you know,
I
because
love that.
that's it. I got the flow. I got the flow that I needed. This didn't fit in.
It's so
So
precise that you'll
yeah,
take out one
yeah.
note. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. That you have such a strong sense of the feeling that you know when one note isn't right. That's
And I
pretty
just go with the
amazing.
flow. It's just a question of flow. It's like this is, and I cannot transition with this last note. It's not working for me. So yeah. But speaking of our project, of our
Mhm,
soul painting, soul song,
mhm,
um, you rekindle me and the soul songs, because I've done what I've shared about soul songs. That was quite a few years ago. It was in the late 20,000 that I was doing these. Um, so it's just amazing that you paint in a bit of the same way than I do the song, because I've made a song. I was inspired to make my own song from the painting you made for me.
mhm,
And I had made my own song before, but it didn't have that depth. You took me deeper through the painting, because your
mhm.
painting it's just amazing. It's just like you were describing how my song felt to you. The painting that I got from you was like, wow. It's like you made me visible to myself. It was just I can't even explain. The experience is just so amazing. And so I just love how we did this exchange with each other, and now we're end up, offering this project where you can make the painting and I can make the song, because it goes so well together. It gives, different dimension and layers and environments. But I was just thrilled that first of all you did my painting, and then I got inspired to make a song again, that I actually work with my song every day. So the feeling I have about our project is that it's very powerful, in the sense that the painting you did for me really helps me reconnect to a deeper part of me, which it's a priority in my life to connect to my authenticity. So it's
Mhm.
something that I always look for. But the song is giving another dimension, in that it's as if when I listen to it, and actually work with it every day, um, I'm helping my soul to ground deeper into me, to come back online consciously into me. And that's the power that I find of the combination. Um, yeah, I was just really thrilled to have this idea with you and to get on with this project. What drew you to wanting to do this?
Um, well, you were kind enough to share with me. You sent me an email and you said, Cindy, I've made a soul song from the painting that you did for me. And I want to share it with you and see if you feel that it resonates with the painting. So you sent me that email, and that was very exciting. Just that I couldn't wait to listen to it. And then I played the song, and I couldn't believe, I mean, the painting came right to mind immediately when I heard the song. It fits your painting and the energy of your painting and the energy of you so perfectly that I was just amazed. I really was amazed.
Mm.
So, and also very excited. And I said, would you be willing to do a song for my painting? And you said, of course I would. And so, after we got the painting thing straightened out and I sent you the right one, um, and you sent me back my song, I just couldn't believe it because, as I explained to you a few minutes ago, it resonated in a really powerful way. Not only did it feel right, really powerful way. Not only did it feel right, not only did it feel like me, but somehow it felt ancestral. It felt
Mm.
as if your song was connecting to me back through my ancestors. It was a long connection. It wasn't just me right here today. I felt all my ancestors in my song. So it was incredibly powerful for me. And there's a little part in the song that you made for me that made me think of Ukrainian folk dancing and the music that the gypsies would have heard and danced to. And when I heard that in the song, I just couldn't believe that you put that in there because it was like, how did she do that? That goes so far back into my past that it was really amazing. And so what happened was very similar to how I started doing these soul paintings. I did them as a fluke. I wasn't trying to paint people's souls. I ended up painting, choosing 4 colors and painting a painting for myself. And after I had done 5 paintings with these 4 colors, I decided to choose 4 more colors, blind, without looking, with my eyes closed. And when I picked the same 4 colors, I was so astonished that it made me realize, hey, maybe people have soul colors. So
Yeah.
the same thing happened with your song. I heard your song and I was so blown away by your song that I wanted to see what my song would be.
Right.
And when I heard my song and the power of my song, it just felt like people needed to have their painting and their song to have sort of a complete, oh, geez, I don't even know how, it just felt complete. And so I asked you, would you be willing
Yeah.
to paint, to do more soul songs? And I was so delighted when you said yes. Would you be willing
Yeah.
to paint, to do more soul songs? And I was so delighted when you said yes.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I mean, I love it because I think that the reason it works so well is that we are, in a way, in a very different way, but we are coming from the same place. We're both listeners. We're both letting ourselves be guided. And I think that, between your painting and my song, it just merged. They go together organically really well because they kind of come from the same place, even though they're expressed in a very different way. But the power of it for me is, I have something about still photos and sound that goes with it, and so that's what it feels like with the painting. It's like, here you are, you have a painting, and yes, it's two-dimensional, it's a certain size, and it's all put together, and it's not going to go anywhere. But at the same time, I'm fascinated by giving it a life and a movement. I'm fascinated by the uh, stillness in movement.
Mm.
So having the combination of the song and the painting, it's like, if I put my song, when I put my song on and look at my painting, I go into the painting.
Mm.
It becomes alive,
Mhm.
and I'm fascinated by that. I can't really explain why,
That
but I
happens for
find
me
something
too.
really profound because for me, it is really important to imagination is really important. It's really important to give space to inspiration, intuition, all of these different emotions. And I never want to narrow it to a structure that would be too stiff.
Mm.
So the magic with the picture and the sound is that it loses its stillness, but it's still still. But you go into the movement of it because there is a movement, and I think that it goes really well with your painting because there is a movement in your paintings.
Right.
You do have that fluidity and the brushstroke and there's a life that goes into it.
Mhm.
that went into the other painting that you did, but that is definitely there in your soul paintings.
Mhm.
So to me, this is the invitation for a really deep journey. And I love anything that has to do with depth. And so the combination of the two, it's like you get the environment of something that can connect you to a remembrance. That's what I hope to do with the song. It's like it's important for me to really be in that listening mode, because then I'm, of course, translating through me. So it's, of course, it's got some of me in it, but as faithful as I can be to the listening, so that what I do is a remembrance for the person.
Mhm.
So that because it's done from something that is them, it's done from their essence. So, they are their essence.
Right.
So, really, the goal for me with the soul song is to trigger a deep remembrance. And it sounds like that's what happened with you. And I think that the magic of the two together is that you get the visual with all of that beautiful emotion that you're able to put into it, which is your gift.
Mhm.
And then you get the story, the sound story,
Right.
um, which allows you to step into the depth of the painting, because they're both coming from the same essence.
Yes.
They both originated from the same place, and because we work in the same way, we both have that fluidity, and
Mhm.
so you can really move. And the goal for me is really to support remembrance and help ground the authenticity of someone through, like, oh, that's what this did for me with you. I mean, it's just really amazing, because the part that was reflected through the painting is a part that I actually keep quite private. you know
Mhm.
but um I'm realizing that I need to open in a more, I need to weave all this in my practice as well. And so it connected me to really be with what I actually need to embody here now. It got me in touch. And also it got me in touch with the strength of it, with the, um yeah, it just had me step into the reality of something that I've always put a lot of focus on, because it's something that's my life has always been about remembering, because I feel like, I've always wanted to be truly free. I don't want to be free by running away or avoiding. I want to be free by having integrated to a level where I'm not triggered anymore and I'm just free to move.
Yes.
So your painting helped me remember what that freedom is about,
Mhm.
and to really embrace it. And with the song, when I listen to the song, I step into that place, and it's like it amazes me, because it's me. It's a me that I've kept hidden for a really, really long time. So that's the power that I find in this, is that it's not just a nice piece of art or a nice little song that goes with it.
No.
It can really be an amazing tool for awakening oneself to the remembrance of who we really
Who we
are,
really
of
are.
what our essence is about, which can inform our lives. It can inform our actions, and it can help us
Absolutely.
grow our center, ground in our center, and walk the path that we came here to walk. That's kind of how I see it, as a really strong, powerful way to get in touch with a really deep part. Because you and I, we did each other's song, and we did each other's soul work.
Mhm.
But when you did my painting, you had no holding back. It's not you.
Right.
So
That's
when I did your song, I had no holding back or self-consciousness or anything like this, because
right.
it's you. It's not me. It has nothing to do with me.
Yep.
So because we tend to go in that depth of the essence of a person,
Mhm.
it's free what we portray. And that I find that that's where the power is. Your painting was freely me. You don't have my
Like,
hang-ups,
no editing.
my
That's right.
blockages, and you
No.
don't have any of this. You just painted it.
Right.
And I just did your song. I don't have, so that's where I feel the power of the two together is, because
Yes.
I know that you have a great authenticity and integrity. And so I know that your painting is going to a real place. I know that what you bring back is real. It's not just a nice little picture and like and I really value that. That's what really got me into definitely wanting to work with you on this project, because it's like, ooh, yeah, I that's what I want. That's what I want to offer people. That's the place I want to come from with
Me
the work
too.
that I do, with
Me
the work
too.
that I do. So,
I
yeah.
think we're on the same page with that because yours is the same way. I felt the exact same way. And remembering it, you're saying that it's a remembering is such a wonderful description because we have so many filters that we see ourselves through, right? That we've been given by our culture, by our families, by our friends, and by ourselves, ideas that we formed about ourselves.
Yeah.
And when I do these spirit paintings, it does bypass all of that. It bypasses all of your culture, all of the opinions, all of your beliefs, and it goes right to who you are.
Yeah.
And I know that every time people have asked me, aren't you afraid to do these? Because aren't you worried about negative energy coming to you? People
Um,
have asked me that question. And I've said, you know, first of all, before I do them, I ask for the highest um, part of the person to come through, their highest manifestation of energy.
yeah.
But second, no, I'm not afraid because I have felt and seen only the most remarkable energy come through. I've not had one person, no matter what their conditioning is, no matter how they present in the outside world, right? No matter how
Mhm.
many hangups, I don't want to really use that word, but how many filters they see the world through, those do not come through. I
Oh,
just get the core of the person, and that's always been stunningly beautiful. And I'm not even exaggerating. It's the most beautiful energy, and your songs feel the same to me.
yeah, I would definitely say absolutely. It's a really good thing to mention because I didn't even think of it. But yes, nothing negative. It's pure essence.
Right.
That's where I go. That's why it's really interesting because the very, very first time I had this idea, I thought about the person. And I actually asked my brother if I could do his song, and he's not a spiritual person at all. And I at the time I hadn't thought of the essence. I just thought, oh, can I do a song for someone? And so the one I did for him was actually his personality. And yeah, I felt the negative stuff. I felt
Sure.
stuff. And I realized that it's absolutely not where I want to go. So that was the perfect thing to do, because after his, and it was perfect for him because it was not relating to anything spiritual, and he really liked his song. He thought it was right on. So I didn't portray the negativity, but I felt it.
Yes.
Um, and so that's really what made me decide, wait a minute, I'm not doing personality songs, I'm doing soul songs,
Yes.
specifically essence. And our essences don't have, this is particularly human. All the negativity and everything, it's just the human, it's
Mhm.
part of the things that we come here to diffuse and to heal and to transform.
Right.
So if we go into the essence and we make the intention of going to the essence, that's exactly where we go. So they will never have anything negative coming. I don't
Mhm.
even get a sense of past lives. I get a sense of over vibe.
Yep.
Like I did some very different. There were different things in yours, and it's I've done about 25. I've done about 25 of these songs, but like I said, it was
Oh. Mhm.
earlier. But yeah, I kept on needing to do trials to build my confidence. So I did only two. Yeah, yeah, and then I stopped, and now I'm completely ready to start again. I actually can't wait to start again. But yeah, I get the general flavor. I don't even get, nothing is separate. Let's just put it this way: nothing is separate, and when I tap into it, I have no forms. I have flow, vibes, Even when I get the image, you know how sometimes if you have a movie on, if you're watching a movie and they have like a scene from the past, they
Mhm.
have like fuzzy all around the
Yeah.
screen and the scene. That's a little bit. It's not that distinctive, but it definitely doesn't have straight. It's not framed when I
Mm.
get a story, and I don't always get a story. I mean, with yours, I got, yeah, I did get a story. I got a campfire, and you and dancing around the campfire,
Mhm.
but it doesn't have a place. It's just somewhere, a vibe. It's like
Mhm.
um, a dream, and it's never limited in my experience. It has no limits, no boundaries, and everything moves together. So when I had that flavor of you having some uplifting parts and then some deeper parts, they
Mhm.
they were in that same space and they were not separated. It
Mhm.
felt important in your song particularly to represent the deepening parts. It felt like it was something that really belonged to the song. I couldn't just decide on, just go with the uplifting, and which is where it was really tricky to merge everything together because I needed to go down and then come back up. But
Yes.
I sense these things as it's going to highlight priorities in the sense where I'll just, it's just a knowing. I can't even explain. It's like I have to do it that way. That
Mhm.
it's the energy has to be expressed in this way. It's just a feeling, but it's never narrow or limited, and it's absolutely never negative. There's no negativity.
No negativity. Yeah.
It
Same.
doesn't exist in that realm.
It doesn't.
No,
Not at all. I've never even had a little
no,
bit. Just doesn't exist.
no. That's like the higher self. It's our wisdom. It's our knowing. It's go way beyond the human realm. So yeah, no, I've never ever since I had the experience with my brother, which was perfect because it reminded me that that's not what I
That's
wanted to
not
do.
what you wanted to do. Right.
No, I
Yes.
was not, and it became much wider and much easier actually because I didn't have the limits of negativity, problems, blockages. There's none of that in there. It's just yeah, it's just a story that feels like it's like an important flavor, and I'm sure that the essence might have many other flavors.
Mhm.
I trust that what comes is what a person needs.
Yes. Yep.
So, and I don't choose what comes, it just comes, and it's probably the same for you. It
Mhm.
comes and I portray it with
Right.
sound, whatever sound comes.
Yes.
I think I have 5 different countries in your painting because I don't pay attention to the
Which
origin of
is
peninsula
wonderful. Yeah.
countries in your painting because I don't pay attention to the
Which
origin of
is
peninsula.
wonderful. Yeah.
It's the
But
sound
it's
that
so
I need.
seamless. It's so seamless. Like you said, it just has this beautiful flow and it feels like a journey. It really does.
And
When
so do your painting.
Mhm.
I mean, your paintings, mine is totally blew me away. But
Yeah.
I've seen others of your paintings, and they all have that feeling of story of like
Mhm.
I can see the movement. It's really easy to do a song with your painting.
Mm. Wonderful.
Not yours particularly, but
But the paintings, yes.
because you got the flow in there, and I can just so
And you
easily,
can just jump off of
yeah.
yes. Mhm.
But my
Well, this
experience of getting the wrong painting first and not being able to do the song is
right.
really interesting because it really
Very.
showed me how I really go into something that is connected.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's so
And
interesting,
and the
isn't it?
second painting, I got to work a few days after receiving it. I was like, "That's it. I got it. Yeah, that's her." Now I know.
I'm I'm really glad you shared that story because that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me, and it was hard because I was like, "Why don't I feel like making her song? That's really bothering me. I don't feel it. I can't." There was an oddness that didn't fit. It's like it's like having two puzzle pieces and they don't go together, so you can't put them
Can't
together.
put them together. Mhm.
And I couldn't. I just couldn't, and no inspiration was coming. I couldn't make sense of it, and I didn't know why I felt that way. I was embarrassed. Why can I not feel like doing your song? I really wanted to do a soul song, you know. So it's just a beautiful experience, helping me see where I really go.
Yes,
You know.
it is.
So, it might be the same for you, if you have a person that yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and it's when you know how to listen, you know how to sense, and it's always really important to, follow, to not impose. I could have made myself do it, but I would have made something that I felt was not you because it
Exactly,
wasn't. Felt was not you because it
exactly,
wasn't.
right, it wasn't.
And I just didn't I it just didn't feel right.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Yeah, but that's
Mm.
just, I just love your paintings so much. I just feel like they're enlightening, because when I received my painting, it was like I said, it's a me that I it's taking me a lifetime to get in touch with in a way. I've had a lot of I've had to do a lot of deconstruction to give space to that energy of mine.
Mhm.
And it intimidated me. It's like, how could she get me so well? You know, bypassing every embarrassment or self consciousness, or it's like, here, this is you. Uh, so it was just really powerful, and yeah, I just think it's just an amazing tool. It's much more than a piece of art. It's just an amazing tool of remembrance, reconnection, um, because I've had to do a little bit of welcoming me through the painting, because it's the part that I keep a bit, you know,
Right.
so that's why it was great to be inspired with the song, which I didn't intend. I was going to make something different, and then I came up with some sounds that reminded me of your painting. As and I soon as I looked at the painting again, the song came really quickly, really easily, and I felt like it was the painting talking to me. You
Mhm.
know,
Mm, it's probably
so the yeah, that's how powerful your work is.
mm.
Your song came my own song came from your painting. It
Wow,
came from the depth that you were able to reach,
wow.
because it was stripped of any when I did my soul song a long time ago as a trial, I had actually a really hard time to do
That's
it.
really amazing when you think about what you just said, because what you just said in essence is that through your painting that I did for you, because it's your essence, you were also able to bypass any of your preconceived ideas, right? And you were able to make the music of your soul by using this portal, so to speak, to get in touch with your essence, right? It
I would
gave
have
you a portal.
Yeah, I would have never dared to make it. I would have felt too shy.
Mm, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm really excited from the things that you've said, and I'm really excited that we're offering this for other people. I feel really great about it and really excited about it that because it's been so powerful for the two of us. You know, your painting was really powerful for you, and the song that you made for my painting is really powerful for me. And it's just wonderful that we can offer this to other people.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like a great partnership, and it's really giving another dimension, a really, really interesting dimension for either of our work. And yeah, your paintings are a doorway. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And I can really say this for absolutely sure because I experienced my own. And like I said, yeah, I would pull that song because I felt the painting.
Mm,
It bypassed everything. So yeah,
it's really,
yeah, beautiful,
yes,
beautiful, Jeannie.
beautiful.
Thank you so much for
Thank you. This was wonderful,
yeah.
as always.
I'm just really excited for this opportunity. I feel really privileged and so very grateful to be working with you on this because it feels like an amazing adventure, and then we can offer something of great value, and that's means the world to me. So I'm really grateful.
I am too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes,
Here we go
me
on
too. There
on
we
our
go.
journey.
There we are. A project that will be born in 2021
Yes,
and will be available very soon.
very
So keep an eye on us.
keep an eye on us.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for keeping us company during this interview. And we hope that we informed you in ways that inspired you. Cindy, you want to say any last thing?
It's a privilege for us. I know I'm speaking for Gwenolye as well. It's a privilege for us to do this for you. It really is. So thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.